Hello and welcome back, or welcome. My name is Kay, aka Winged Berries, and welcome to my little video where I'm going to talk a little bit about what I've been up to and what I'm going to be up to these next couple of days, weeks, months. I am currently drinking a lovely cup of Assen. This is my first drink of the day. It's very hot outside, so I don't really want to have too many hot drinks because overheating is not fun, but I do need my caffeine, so that's important. So please do bring your own hot, cold, whatever drink you would like. So I'll tell you a little bit about what I've been up to since last. It hasn't been a lot because it got really hot here in the UK, and we're suffering unless you really love the heat. I don't. I take a lot of medications that make me not super tolerant to the weather, and I'm already not a big fan of hot weather, so it's not been great, but we survived, obviously. Besides that, we took a trip to Ulverston last weekend to meet up with some of my partner's family, and that was really lovely. It was the first day of when it was supposed to be really warm, not when the heat wave actually hit, but when it was supposed to be like warmer. And for some reason in Ulverston, the weather was just sort of overcast and not super warm even. So, but we had a really lovely time. We went to a cafe named Gillams for some food, and it's a really lovely cafe. I can highly recommend Gillams. It's super nice. We've been there quite a few times. Super lovely. So I would highly recommend going there. But yeah, I think that's all we've been up to. We're sort of prepping for going to UK Games Expo this coming weekend, because my partner is doing some pitching of one of his board games, and that's sort of taking up all our like time and energy in terms of like what we're doing outside of me talking about my crafting. So next I want to talk a little bit about my finished projects. I finished 2 projects, in fact. I thought I'd only finish 1, but I finished 2. I'm not going to model either for you. One has been blocked, but it's missing a button and it's too hot to wear it. It's way too warm, but I'm going to show you. And the other one just hasn't been blocked yet, so it still looks a bit crinkly, and also it will be too hot. I mean, even what I'm wearing now is too warm. So first, what I talked about last time that I had been working on, I've been working on this for a long time, is my Plumetis. I'm finally finished! Yay! I'm so happy! I'll be putting up some photos on my Ravelry page and my my Instagram as well when it's a bit more cool. I don't know if I'm going to model it, but I'm going to at least take some photos. It's so lovely, and it did indeed sort of grow. The lace work grew, because before it had that sort of really bubbly effect, sort of like those like, oh, I don't even know what they're called, but they were really popular when I was little. Those like bubbly shirts that then they looked really small, but then the fabric stretched out when you put it on. That's sort of the vibe it had before, and it's sort of because it's lace work basically. It's a form of lace, bubble lace. It's bloomed really nicely, so it doesn't quite have that effect. Not because there's anything wrong with that, but just because that's not really my style. And this is much closer to what it looks like in the project photos, and I think it's turned out so lovely, so nice. Yeah, I'm really pleased with it. I have put it on and it looks amazing. The only thing I need to get done is it still needs to have a button attached, and I haven't quite been bothered to do that. It's sort of one of those things where I really want to wear this, and I think I'll put a button on it when I actually can wear it, but right now it's just too warm to wear this much alpaca, Suri fluff and merino and long sleeves. Yeah, super easy pattern to work up, I think. And the sleeves went by really fast. So this is like a super easy sleeve construction. I think partially to do with the fact that there is no shaping in the sleeves. They're just knit straight until you get to the end and put on the cuff. And that gives it this sort of balloon, bishop sleeve. It's not that obvious here, but when you put it on, it's really obvious because it sort of balloons out in these in here. And then this, I worked the cuff of the sleeve. I don't know how well you can see any of this. I didn't work it as long as they recommend in the pattern, just for personal preference. I don't really like them being too long, but that's just a personal preference. I also, my hands are pretty small, so it's also just to do with like what looks silly on me and not silly on me, basically. Last time I talked about wanting to use some scrap yarn I had from a frock project to make a summer secret crop, and I finished it. I just did it, and it is such an easy pattern. I made it before, so it's not blocked, and as you can see, for the top part I had to use some other yarn. I was so certain that was going to be plenty of yarn left, but there wasn't. There just was not enough. So I had some other scraps that I could use, and I think, I don't know, it makes it a bit cute. And to me, I'm using these, this is how I use my other one, as sort of like camisoles, so for wearing underneath other shirts. I'm sorry if you can hear the cars outside. We have the windows open. It's way too warm not to have the windows open, so you will be able to hear everything. But yeah, it's it doesn't bother me so much that there's a color change. And I didn't even tell you about my Plumetis, what I'd used, partially because I've done that last time, but it is the Plumetis is, the fingering weight is hand dyed by me, and the lace, the fluffy Isager Alpaca, is from Woolly Mama Yarns, and it's called Popping Candy. I don't think that's a colorway she carries anymore. It's really cute though. But this is made mostly of Isager Alpaca. I'm pretty sure it's Alpaca 1 because it's a really thin stuff. So I held that double. And then the top is hand dyed by me fingering weight yarn. This is the second Summer Secret Summer Secret crop I made. I'm really pleased with the pattern. I knit this a size down, which I don't feel I can currently see. It feels like it's bigger than the previous one I made, but maybe it isn't. The straps are shorter, and I don't know if I'm going to regret that. So the straps are like quite stretchy. So when you knit them, she recommends that you measure them stretched out while you're knitting them to figure out how long you want them. The only problem that I really have is that I was too keen to get this done yesterday evening, so this strap, the left strap, is not significantly, quite a bit shorter than the right strap, but it's fine. It's a layering piece. If it really bothers me, I'm going to do something about it, but I don't think it's going to. So yeah, I knit a size down from what I knit last time because I wanted a bit. The other one I have has a more of like a loose fit, which I like just fine and it works really well for it, but I wanted a thing that was maybe a bit tighter fitting. Again, I'm not sure this actually seems to be smaller. The other one might also have like, I don't know, it was made of silk. This is alpaca, and this will grow. That's the other thing, because it's alpaca, it will likely grow quite substantially. The other thing I did is I did make it longer. The other one's definitely shorter than this. I added a few more rounds in the body just because I wanted it to cover a bit. The other one, even though it's like I use it as a camisole, the one problem I have with it is that if I lift my arms, it's so cropped that it does the like show my boobs. And I know it's like fine when I'm just using it as a layering piece, but for example, if I wore one of them underneath this, you would still not be able to see. Like, it's not actually doing its job. So I was like, I probably need to add a bit more length just so that at most it just shows a bit of my like I don't even know if you can see what I'm pointing. It's fine if it shows a bit of my ribs and stuff. So I don't mind. So I'm really pleased with this. Okay, so next we're going to talk about whips. I have been knitting quite monogamously on my Plumetis, and then the Summer Secret crop just, I mean, it just took over for me. So I didn't cast on the there's a pair of baby trousers, the cam trousers that I talked about last time that said I was gonna imminently cast on. I haven't. I'm probably gonna do that today. Now that there's a bunch of stuff off my needles. But yeah, it just didn't happen. So mostly the other thing I've been working on is this shawl that I talked about last time, Brandesjalet shawl. Let's see, I really, nope, that's the wrong one. That has stitches on it. Shit. Put the needle stop on the wrong needle. Don't know why I did that. Can't be thinking. Oh god. Riveting content. Truly. Just breaking my needles over here. Don't mind me. That's not the bit I want it to come off. No! I really can't, like, can I just, like, I probably can't. I don't know why that's stuck like that. There we go. They're too zealous about the needle stops. Well, it did stop the needle, I guess. So I've been working a little bit, not a lot. You probably can't see a lot of progress. Sorry, it's attached. So I've been knitting a little bit more on this, so it's coming along just fine. It's looking really great, I think. I've started putting stitch markers on for every 10. So I need to knit 75 repeats of the pattern for these. So you need to see 75 of these peekaboo stripes ribbing, and instead of like counting every single time, I think it would be easier for me to just put them on. So the plan, put them on. So I'm putting a stitch marker on every 10 I make so that it's easier to count for me. So I've done 30, I think that's it. Yeah, 30, 35. I think I stopped at 5 last time. So my plan was to do like 5 a day. 5 of these, again, these colorful stripes a day. That hasn't happened. As I said, I've been very excited about knitting the Summer Secret crop. Gave me so much joy, and I don't regret it, but this is sort of the next thing. I was going to work on it while we were in Ulverston, but I couldn't because I'd only brought one needle. So I hadn't brought the needle that goes with it, and that's how we started the Summer Secret crop saga on my side. I was going to show you some of my spinning, but I haven't brought it up with me. I can't remember if the new angle makes it so you can see my spinning wheel, but I can bring some of this yarn over. So on my wheel, I've been spinning this beautifully colored merino up that came with the wheel. And the way I'm sort of doing it, as you can probably see on this bobbin, is that this is sort of done in a mild, thick, thin spin. So you have these bits where it goes like that, where you have the it's not such an even spin. And then the other one that I'm currently working on, the second bobbin, I'm doing it really thin and even, hopefully to make a fun sort of ply. We'll see how it goes, and then I can make something fun out of it. I love this color. It's really beautiful. I didn't pick it. I don't think anyone, it was just with it. We weren't told it was going to be there. The only thing I'll say is, and if you don't know a lot about spinning, you'll I can let you know that merino is, it's not known to be like the easiest to spin. It's not the most difficult to spin either, fiber to spin, but it's not super easy. It's not normally what you'd begin with, start with as a beginner learning to spin. But this merino is especially, I don't know what it is about it. It does not spark joy. It does not spark joy at all for me. I don't like spinning it very much. But I love spinning on the wheel, I think, so that's sort of what draws me to it a lot. And you get a lot of spinning done in a sitting, I think, compared to like using a drop spindle. The other spinning, I mentioned this last time, but the other spinning I've been doing is on a drop spindle, and it is, I don't know if I mentioned what it was, but it's a load of Shetland. I got 300 grams of Shetland from a friend. He gifted it to me a few years ago now. And that was back when I was like, 300 grams? No problem. On a drop spindle? No problem. And I've been spinning forever on it. I'm on to the... So I want to do it as a 3-ply. And I'm on to my second bit of 100 grams. So I've done 100 grams already, and now I'm doing 100 other grams. And I've just sort of started on that. It's going a lot... I just need to like get into the rhythm of doing it every day, because if I don't, it just doesn't get done. If you don't do it, it doesn't get done, right? So yeah, those are my current works in progress. A little bit of spinning, a little bit of knitting that I'm working on. I also talked about baby, like a set of ovals last time, and I haven't done any progress on that. I'm not in a rush. It's for a baby who is quite little, and I'm making it in a size that's for like a 1-year-old. So I have quite a lot of time before I need to have it ready for them. So I'm not trying to rush that, and there's a few things I want off my needles fast before I sort of hunker down on that. So from what you're hearing now and what I told you last time, you can probably tell I haven't moved a lot of my planned projects into actually works in progress. Again, I'm planning on doing my gauge swatches for the 2 projects I talked about last time. One is the folklore blouse, and the other one is... That's a great question. A pattern, a jumper. I can't remember. I'm doing those today, and hopefully they turn out perfect, and I don't need to change anything or do anything, and it's all just great, and I meet gauge. I would hope so. But my plans have been sort of scuppered a little bit by... I'm doing this project with my friend, one of my friends, we both have a copy of, let me find it, because I have it. We both have a copy of the Fellowship of the Nets, which is a really lovely book. And she told me, and I told her, we were both like, it's so lovely, but are we ever going to make our way through it? And then we're like, what if we knit all of the patterns in it together? So we've done that. We've done about 3. Done the what have we done in here? We did the dwarf battle gauntlets. I'll see if I can show you a photo from the book. Again, I'm sorry if it's not like that easy to see. Something. We definitely did those. I remember. I have them. I wear them. I want to say that we've knitted 3, but we might actually just have knitted that and one other pattern, which is the one we just finished not so long ago. We also did this, the woodland run cowl, and she managed to twist her stitches, so it's super spirally, which is actually quite fun. I think all the ones we've done are supposed to be easy patterns, and I would argue it's a lie. I'm so sorry. Excuse me. And the last one we did just now is this Food for the Journey scarf. So we've done those 3, and it's been really lovely to knit through it. Those are all like supposed to be easy, and I'm not saying they're not easy, but it's a lot of all of those 3. The gauntlets were fine. I think we just didn't spark a lot of joy for either of us, but the other 2, the cowl and the scarf, are supposed to be easy, and I thought that they were easy enough, but they were sort of a faff to work on. I think like we both had to sort of force ourselves through working on them, and that's never a good sign, I think. But they're very well written patterns. There's nothing wrong with how they're written or done or anything. It's not that. But so my next plan, my actually upcoming plan for my knitting is the next pattern we picked from the book, which is these cloak pin socks. You can see those, and they're so cute. It's the first time she's knitted socks. I've knitted a few pairs, 3 pairs of socks, but it'll be really fun to do those. I kind of wanted to do them in the sort of, I mean, it's beautiful, right, with the green because it fits. The cloaks are given, the fellowship is given by at Lothlorien, but I don't have any fingering weight green yarn that isn't like dedicated to another project. I actually don't think I have any, which is impressive because green is my favorite color, but I don't have any, and I am trying very hard not to buy any new yarn until I've sorted out my yarn situation, which is I have too much yarn. Just gonna have another sip of this because, sorry, my throat is really bothering me today for some reason. So I picked out some yarn I had left that I thought would be quite nice. A lot of the yarn I have is variegated, so, and it has that like leaf motif, so I wanted to make sure it wasn't too variegated. So I picked this beautiful yarn. It's by Mothy and the Squid, which is a British yarn dyer, and it's called See You at Yarndale, which was a Yarndale exclusive colorway a few years ago when I went. I think this is so pretty, and even though it's variegated, it's not. I think with how it's been speckled, that it's not so variegated that the pattern won't show up in it. I'm pretty certain about that. And regardless, it's going to be really, really lovely. So I'm going to really enjoy that. The only issue I have with the pattern, potentially, so, and this is just a personal preference, to do with socks. These socks go up about, they go up pretty high on the calf, and part of of that is to fit in the leaf motif. I think I need to keep in mind that I want to start the leaf motif like as far down, there the sock as possible. I don't like tall socks. I have wide feet, so that already makes getting socks to fit pretty difficult. My friend has this problem. She's quite big feet. So she's probably also going to have some issues. But I just don't like them when I like my socks to be loose. And I like my socks to not go too far up my leg. They also can't go too far down. Like I do need them like to sit at around the ankle. So I don't like tennis socks. I know a lot of people like this, but I hate tennis socks. So I need to find a way to make them as far down as possible for my liking. And I need to remember to pick a size, not the smallest size, because otherwise they won't fit in my around my foot, because my foot is wide, and that's really frustrating. In general, just have had problems in the past getting socks to fit me well, which is quite frustrating. Socks are such a wonderful thing when you can get them to fit well and have the fit you like. You know, I'm the sort of there are two types of autistic people, right? There are the autistic people who must always wear socks, and there are the autistic people who never want to wear socks. And I'm the latter camp. I really hate wearing socks. Until I made my own socks, and I was like, oh, actually these are really, really nice. And part of that is that I make them quite loose fitting. And I just need to keep that in mind, because otherwise I won't wear them, and that would be a real shame. So it's such a nice yarn, and it's a really nice looking pattern. The pattern comes in 3 sizes. So my hope is that I'm gonna either pick the second or third size. I've been burnt before by picking the smallest size. I think sock patterns have a really big problem when it comes to sizing. And I think part of it comes from the expectation that the people knitting the socks have a level of knowledge about sock knitting. So there's a load of courses out there in workshops and stuff like that about giving you the perfect sock fit, which is really great. I really like that. I like knitting socks. I am not that special interest level of it that I want to go sit on in a workshop talking about how I need to use maths to create the perfect socks. I also don't like maths. That might also be my other problem. But it does mean that a lot of sock patterns have like very few sizes. And that becomes really frustrating. Like I have the 52 weeks of socks book, and if I remember correctly, I think I've knitted 2 patterns from it. And I want to knit all of them, but I think all of the patterns, if I'm right, only has 2 sizes. And that is not enough sizes. There needs to be more sizes. And there needs to be far more sizes. I think knitting and crochet already has a problem with size inclusivity. I'm so sorry if you can hear the dye working in his garden. I can't do anything about that. And I definitely think socks shouldn't be left out of that. I don't think it's as important as like garments. Garments need to have far more size inclusivity and actually be made to make sense for the people of bigger sizes, because usually those are the people who get hit by it. And that really pisses me off. So, but I just think that, sorry, that is very distracting. But sorry, I just think that socks also shouldn't be necessarily left out of the discussion, because it really gets my goat. And I hate it when people are like, well, it has to do with like the pattern, like the little motif repeat, and that's difficult to size up. You're selling a product. That's how I feel personally. Like, I get it if you're very, very small and you're just doing it as a hobby, and maybe you're not even selling the pattern, or maybe you're selling it for a really low price because it's just your hobby, and you don't have a really wide size range for anything, not just socks, also for like jumpers and dresses and tops, whatever. But I think if you're a big brand, you can spend the time and potentially money to ensure that the sizes are correct. It's not that hard. If you can't do it, there are people out there who would like to work with you to get that done. So and I don't think he's saying, oh no, but like I created this like very unique, intricate pattern motif repeat, and it's just difficult to change for a bigger size. Like, no, that's sorry, that's not a good enough excuse for me. I can't accept that. But yeah, sorry, that was a tangent. Those are the ones I'm gonna, that's my project. I'm gonna swatch for the edge, swatch for that properly. And that is, I'm gonna do it in round. Even though that's not my favorite way to gauge a swatch, but you have to. With socks, there's nothing worse than trying to make a pair of socks and then making it in the totally wrong size because you haven't swatched for it and it's like doll sized, or it's like huge and you can wear it as a hat. I've seen both. Both happen. So yeah, those are those plans. I think, yeah, that's my plan. Socks are plans. The last order of business. What are my plans? Again, we're going to UK Games Expo. And that's going to be really, really fun. I'm going to try not to spend too much money on board games, tabletop RPGs. That could happen. I could spend a lot of money on that, especially. I also saw on the vendor list that there's a person selling yarn. So that's really exciting. I could spend lots of money on that as well. And besides that, I think here in the beginning of June, end of May, beginning of June, we're visiting a friend as well, who lives in the outskirts of Manchester. That's as specific as I want to get with that. In the outskirts of Manchester. And we haven't visited her before where she lives now. So it's going to be really lovely to see her, the place she lives, and hang out for a bit. It will be really, really cool. But I don't think we have any like specific plans around that. We're bringing quite a few stuff. We're bringing quite a few things. I'm bringing my Magic the Gathering cards. We're bringing minis. We do miniature gaming with her. Mainly sort of, this is going to get into some really nerd stuff. We don't do like World War II stuff and stuff like that. We're, fantasy nerds. So we do sort of like little mage skirmishes and Lord of the Rings. There's a Lord of the Rings miniature game made by Games Workshop with the guys who do 40k. If you know anything about miniature gaming, that might lead you in the right direction. So we're definitely going to do that. We're definitely going to do some Magic. We talked about that. I haven't only just gotten into it, but I got into it because they made the Lord of the Rings cards, and I really wanted to buy pretty cards. I was like, I don't really care, I just want pretty cards. I played a bit with my partner, and then I haven't really. Then we moved, and it made it hard to pick up that again and remember the rules and all of that. And then you have the issue now of like, Wizards of the Coast, the people who own Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons, being not a great company right now. So, I don't feel bad about playing the game because that's whatever, but it's sort of like, I don't really want to give them more money. Which is really hard because there's lots of really, really good artists who work with them. And I also sort of want to support them and then support that, but I have to find other ways to do that. Like, they would probably be doing much better if I actually went and bought like prints from them and stuff like that. So that's on me to sort of figure out a way to support small artists and big artists. They get lots of bigger artists as well. So so yeah, I think that's the plans we discussed. And I don't think we have any other plans coming up. I think right now we're just trying to survive the heat until it's supposed to, around where we live, get a bit cooler next week, and I'm quite excited for that. I know that people will be like, oh, summer, and it's so sad and stuff, but it'll be really nice. I also do quite a bit of sewing, not quite a bit, I do a little bit of sewing, and I'm hoping that when it gets a bit cooler I can work on my sewing a bit more, and then maybe I can also share some of that here with you. The last thing I'm up to is I want to make a video about some knitting and crochet and sewing patterns that are sort of Moomin vibes for summer Moomin. I'm thinking of calling it Moomin Summer Madness. That's a book. It's a Moomin book. I love the Moomins. I'm from the Nordic countries, so I grew up with the Moomins. It doesn't mean I have more of an attachment to them, but it means that they're quite a big part of my growing up and my childhood, and so I just really love them, and I want to be a Moomin. I want to be mozzarella meat. I want to be Moomin meat. I want to be Snufkin. I am already little me. So I've collected some patterns both in sewing and knitting and crochet, and I want to present it in a little video, so I hope that will be of some excitement. I'm hoping to get it done relatively quickly because I want to make sure that it's ready for summer. It would kind of suck if I did all of that work and then it came out in like the end of August. That's not really useful to anyone. So that's the only other thing I have on. Okay, well, take care of yourself, everyone. Thank you for being here with me. Sorry for the noise of the outside world. Hope you're surviving in the summer heat or potentially enjoying it. I'm hoping you're surviving in the world as it is right now, as much as you can. Just surviving is fine. You don't need to do everything or be everything for everyone all of the time. But thank you so much for being here, and I hope that you'll come and hang out with me next time, probably in about 2 weeks.